Hello, everybody. My name is ProfRich, and you are here live with the English teacher with the fastest internet in the world. Ashley Chen starts us off saying, I can't watch the full Oxford Online English stream today. That's probably the same as everyone, Ashley, because I abandoned the stream after 20 minutes. And we'll see whether this stream will happen as well. Please do let me know if the internet is working okay for you. Please do let me know if the stream is working okay. So far, we do seem to be all right. So let's just see what happens. We've got a new camera angle here as well. Look, I'm like up here and I'm like talking down there. Never done that before. Anyway, tried some different things. So I wanted to talk about critical thinking. And we're going to start by giving two perspectives on teaching. So there's two sort of, broadly speaking, two styles of teaching. And those styles are A, which is, I am the master of knowledge and I will tell you what is true and you will remember it. That's A. Then there's B. And B is, you must decide what is true. I'll help you decide, but don't expect me to tell you. I will only guide you and you will decide for yourself. So these are, broadly speaking, two perspectives on teaching, A and B. Have you ever had any teachers with these styles? Which teaching style do you prefer? Do you find B to be frustrating sometimes? Which teaching style do you think I normally use? Please keep talking in the chat. As soon as people stop talking, I panic that everything has gone horribly wrong once again. Pilly says, hi, Rich. Hello. Daisy said, it's my teacher. She said, I'm always right. If I'm wrong, look at number 1. Really, Daisy? So she said, I'm always right, and if I'm wrong, look at the first one. What subject is that, Daisy? Pallavi says, I won't choose any of those. What would you choose then, Pallavi? And Zoya says, Rich, you use B. Yeah, that's right. My teaching style is B. Although with languages, it's a bit different because with languages, there are obviously some truths if we're going to be a little prescriptive about it. If someone really wants to know the meaning of banana, then obviously I can give you some truth. I don't need to give you a little puzzle for you to work out what's a banana and what's an orange or whatever. So, yes, we have A, which is the sage on the stage, and B, which is the teacher as a guide or an elicitor. So, this relates to the idea of critical thinking, which is the topic of our stream today. We're going to talk about critical thinking. So, let's begin. What is critical thinking? Answers in the chat. Give me a definition. Daisy says math. I remember one day I used another way to solve a math problem, and she said the method didn't follow the textbook. That sucks. That sucks, Daisy. So the method didn't follow the textbook, but you got the right answer. And she said, that's no good. Great. That's horrible, horrible way of teaching. So Zoya says it's the ability to evaluate, analyze, and make conclusions. So evaluate, that means we look at something and we say, is this good and how good is it? And analyze, that means we look at the thing in detail and find what's good and what's bad. And then we want to make a conclusion based on this information. So critical thinking really means that we have to get in there and do some work with our brain. It's something that I enjoy, and it's something that I try to encourage. So thank you, Zoya. That's a really nice definition you gave us there. So now that we know what critical thinking is, let's move on and say, what's the point? Why bother? Why do I need critical thinking? Give me 10 reasons. Why use critical thinking? I mean, we have these awesome little mobile devices, don't we? And they're so useful. So why bother with critical thinking when we can just use our wonderful little in-the-pocket computers to answer all the questions? Or we can use Wikipedia or textbooks, or we can just trust the teacher in class to tell us what the right answer is. Why do we have to evaluate and analyze and all the rest of it? Is critical thinking really something that's useful for us in the future? So Pilly says it helps us to create our own opinions. And Daisy said we can make our own decision. I think that in the world of artificial intelligence, and obviously artificial intelligence will become more and more important, in this world of ChatGPT and AI, critical thinking is even more important than ever because AI will do everything else. All of that stuff which doesn't involve critical thinking, that can be done by AI. That includes journalism without critical thinking, which is the majority of journalism. And I was going to talk about that in the Oxford Online English stream, which we had to abandon, unfortunately. Daisy says you can develop your own judgments in order to identify misinformation. And Sonia says, thinking according to your beliefs, it requires great knowledge about what is happening around you. Kashata says, hello, ProfRich. Hello, Kashata. Today we're talking about critical thinking. I think that critical thinking is an excellent skill, a very useful skill, and something that in the future is just going to be more important, more useful, something that we will all really need to develop. So how can we develop critical thinking? How can we improve our critical thinking skills? I'm going to look at some tasks today, and we're going to discuss those in English in the chat. And if you're watching this video after the live stream, then you can comment down below with your thoughts, or you can join us in our Skype group and you can bring your ideas to the table. So one way that you can practice and improve critical thinking is you can play devil's advocate. This is one of my favorite idioms in English. I love this idiom. The idiom is play devil's advocate. So, people in the chat, can you tell me what does it mean to play devil's advocate? Oh, Pallavi, you asked the right question. We are going to develop this skill, and one of the ways is playing devil's advocate. So in the chat, tell me, what does it mean? What does it mean to develop? What does it mean? What does it mean to play devil's advocate? Oh, now Manuel's having internet problems. He can't get in today. Keep trying, Manuel. Smash that refresh button. Oh, Julia says, I know this idiom, but it escapes me. Zoya says it's to think as the opponent. So that is one way of putting it, yes. Play devil's advocate is to consider the other side. Consider the argument from the other side. And advocatus diaboli. Play devil's advocate means to try to defend the other side. That's right. Try to understand another point of view. So, indeed, hello, Manuel, you're here. So, indeed, playing devil's advocate means considering the other side. This is a great way to develop critical thinking. Because, do you know, imagine this. If you are a person, you're a teacher or a leader, politician, and you want people to not be critical thinkers, then of course you don't want them to consider the other side of the argument. If you want to create a group of people who have no critical thinking, then of course you want them to accept everything you say as true. So let's do the opposite. We're not going to accept what we're told. We're not going to accept even our own beliefs. We're going to question them. Are they really true? How do we know what we think we know? I'll say that again. How do we know what we think we know? How do we know what we think we know? Let's think about this. What do you think of coal power? Coal power. Coal power plants. That's a black stone that you burn, and then we can use that to generate energy. What do you think about it? A lot of people these days will say coal power is bad. We need to stop using coal power. A lot of people say that, especially in Europe. And in fact, in Europe, many countries are closing their coal power stations. Only Germany is opening coal power stations, but most countries are closing them. The UK, I think, has 3 coal power stations left, and they are closing very soon. So let's consider a different perspective. I want you to think of arguments to support this statement. And the statement is, coal power isn't so bad. That's right, we're playing devil's advocate. So, what can you tell me there in the chat? What can you tell me about this? Daisy's already off. Look at that. Coal is cheaper than green energy. That's strange, isn't it, Daisy? We can go deeper. Why is it cheaper? Why is coal power cheaper than green energy? That's strange. The sun, that's free, isn't it? Coal-fired power plants provide affordable, reliable, and constant power. It's so easy. It's so interesting to hear these arguments, isn't it? You never hear this. You never. What Daisy's just said, which is coal-fired power plants provide affordable, reliable, constant power. I haven't heard that in the UK in any published media for 20 years. I haven't heard anyone say that. In the news, in the newspapers, anywhere. You don't see it. That's not what we're told here about coal power anymore. It's because it's available under the ground. Yeah, but the sun, Daisy, solar energy, the sun's everywhere. Should be mega cheap, no? Can't we just build 1 billion solar panels and we'd have like loads of power? Why is that a problem? We can build loads of them, right? Why is the cost so high for solar power panels? What is a solar panel made of? Is there anyone in chat who knows? What components? What do you need to make a solar panel? I'll tell you, you need a lot of very, very interesting materials if you want to make a solar panel. Difficult to get, actually. You have to do some really serious mining to get the components necessary to build a good solar panel. And then you have to do some manufacturing, quite complicated manufacturing, actually. Not simple at all. Needs a nice fancy factory, and you need to do a lot of interesting things. And the other thing is, solar panels, they need a lot of maintenance, quite difficult maintenance actually, and quite frequent as well. So solar panels, quite hard to make. They cost a lot. They use a lot of strange and interesting rare metals, and they need a lot of maintenance. That's difficult. Coal, on the other hand, is pretty simple. You get this chunk of black stone, you burn it, and by burning it, you boil water. And when you boil the water becomes steam. And the steam makes something go around like this. And that thing, when it goes around, you use that to do something else. And that's coal power. It's very easy. If the whole of society collapsed today, we could still make things that use coal power quite easily. You don't actually need a lot of fancy stuff. It's not that difficult. A skilled blacksmith could make some components that make some sort of crude coal-powered engine. Very simple, very easy. So that's a thing, isn't it? That's maybe one of the reasons why it's so cheap. Let's move on to another question to play devil's advocate. Actually, I'll just check the chat, see what everyone's saying, because I'm kind of ranting. Okay, Boris Johnson, blah, 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 great. Glass and stuff under the glass, yes. Materials not harmless, yeah, that's interesting. Solar panels, quite difficult to dispose of, says Sonia. We're giving some great devil's advocate opinions here. All right, everyone's doing very well. Let's move on. Think of arguments to support this statement. University education is overrated. We're going to play devil's advocate here. Everybody's heard that university is the bee's knees, but now we're going to say that it's a load of rubbish. So what do you think? University education's overrated. Manuel Gordillo. I know he's got some strong opinions there. Ashley is still on the last one. She said, people believe that coal power is bad. It will accelerate climate change and increase air pollution. However, we need electricity for everything. And green energy has its limitations. You're being far too diplomatic, Ashley, but yeah, very good. One of the things we didn't mention about coal power, by the way, is it's very scalable. You can turn it down and turn it up very easily. So if there's high demand, you can make it go whoomp easily. And if there's low demand, you can bring it down, right? But renewable can't do that. And nuclear can't do that. Coal is very good at doing this. You can change it. You can turn it higher, turn it lower. Very easy with coal power. Gas is pretty easy as well with that. So Zoya says that universities are too expensive for the quality they give. University in the US has become too expensive. University requires a lot of time, money, and effort. University teaching, this is my hot take. Do you know what that means? A hot take? Hot take. It's a phrase on the internet that people use for a spicy opinion, a hot take. So, my hot take, the worst quality teaching, no, that's too spicy. Let me change this. University teachers are some of the worst quality teachers I've ever seen in my life. Okay, there we go. Very few qualified teachers. Basically, no qualified teachers, Zoya. What you get in university is you get a qualified expert, but you almost never get a qualified teacher. They don't really do. There's some, and they're very famous for it. But very few university teachers, university lecturers, actually do any teaching development. Yeah, Julia says university education costs an arm and a leg. I'm surprised here. We've got Manuel playing devil's advocate of devil's advocate. Well done, Manuel. Because I know for a fact that Manuel is quite critical of university education. And now he's playing devil's advocate with himself and actually saying that there's some advantages to it. All right, let's move on. Think of arguments to support this statement. Democracy is bad for people. What do you think, everybody? We're playing devil's advocate. Democracy is bad for people. It's a tough one, this, isn't it? It's tough. It's tough to criticize democracy. For me, it's tough anyway. I find it very hard. I'm finding it hard now, actually, to criticize democracy. But there are some negatives, aren't there? You know, one thing about democracy is it promotes the need to control the beliefs of the population. So one of the kind of positive things about an absolute monarchy, that means you have a king who has all the power. One of the positives about absolute monarchy is that the king really doesn't really have to lie to people that much. Maybe a little bit, but not a lot. Because if people disagree, he doesn't care. So he can just tell you whatever. Yeah, we're going to do this because whatever reason. And if you don't like it, well, I'm the king, so live with it. But in democracy, you can't do that. You can't come out and just say we're going to do X because I don't like that. You have to say something else. You have to say something that's popular. So you have to kind of constantly lie to people with democracy. You have to constantly say, oh, yes, we're doing this. And the reason is this. But it's often a lie, isn't it? Okay, everyone's disagreeing with my devil's advocate proposition here. I'm proposing that we criticize democracy to play devil's advocates, guys. I know everybody thinks democracy is great. Of course, I think democracy is great as well. We all want to have choice. A lot of people here are quoting Winston Churchill. It is a popular quote. Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government, apart from all the others which have been tried. Alexander says, if you lie, it'll be noticed. Yeah, Alexander, it will be noticed, but nobody cares. People notice, but they don't care. That's the thing. I mean, consider this, right? We just spoke a little bit about climate change and green energy. So politicians talk about this all the time. All the time. But we know they're lying. Right? We know that they don't really care about what they talk about. We know this for a fact. Absolute fact. Okay? Okay, for example, you have a convention, the G8, right? World leaders go to the G8, they talk about climate change, blah, 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 reduce carbon emissions, blah, 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 okay? How do they get to the G8? They fly in a private jet. In fact, they fly everywhere in a private jet. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but a private jet actually it uses a lot of carbon. A lot. It doesn't use it, it produces it. It's quite a high level of pollution produced from a private jet. Now, I don't know about you, but it seems a bit strange to me to keep going on about how everybody should get an electric car if you've just used a private jet to get to the convention. That's an obvious lie. You don't care about carbon emissions. You just want to say stuff that's popular. Yeah, Daisy, I'm aware of that, and that's a real shame. And actually, it's similar in a lot of countries. I really don't like that. One of my best friends is Russian, and he says it's so annoying, but you can't criticize the government at all, otherwise you get into big trouble, real big trouble. So yeah, but I think you're getting a bit confused about the system there. Like democracy is not necessarily about that. You're talking about something else, Daisy, because you know that in I can't remember the exact date, but in the 10th century, we in England, we started a document called Magna Carta. And I'm going to do a stream on this actually in a few weeks about Magna Carta. The Magna Carta is a document that said that the king must obey the law. And that system of government was still an absolute monarchy. So still absolute, not democracy, right? The peasants had no power. The peasants, by the way, are my ancestors. I'm a peasant. So the peasants had no power. It was a monarchy and a feudal system. However, with Magna Carta, that meant you could say things about the king, and the king can't just do whatever. He has to follow the law. The king must follow the law. What happens if the king doesn't follow the law? then all the lords, the feudal lords, say, whoa, 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 whoa. Enough of this guy. He's not following the law. And that's where Magna Carta came from. So you can have a system where you can criticize people in power without the system being democratic. 1215 Magna Carta. I should know that. Okay, let's move on. Next. No, let's move on. Humans will be replaced by AI, and that's good. Any comments about this, playing devil's advocate? And we'll move on in a minute. Hey, everybody, please do hit that like button. Thank you for watching. My name is ProfRich, and today we're talking about critical thinking skills. And we're having a discussion in English in our live chat. We're having a contextual discussion using key vocabulary from this wonderful topic of critical thinking. Right now, we are performing an idiom which is called play devil's advocate. There's still some comments about the previous question about government. And I would say one final thing here, where everyone's favorite form of government is a dictatorship where they are the dictator. Yeah. Vladimir says only educated people should rule. That is Plato's Republic, Vladimir. Sometimes it's called technocracy. Philosopher kings. It's very controversial. But actually, Vladimir, some people say that the European Union is kind of that system. It's sort of a technocracy where, like, the most highly educated people are in power. That's what they say. AI doesn't suffer from involutive disease. I think there's a lot more to say than that, Sonia. I mean, AI, yeah, no corruption. That's a good one. Faster, more efficient. It's rational. It can be rational, actually. ChatGPT is not rational, by the way, but it could be. By the way, the reason why ChatGPT is not rational is because ChatGPT is based on things that we said. So the way that ChatGPT works is it's a statistical model which predicts how human language would respond. And because human language is based on us, and it's all emotional and irrational, then ChatGPT is also irrational. It doesn't just follow logic. It says all kinds of stuff. They've tried to make it more logical now, but it still can be very irrational. But we could train an AI model that's really rational. And in fact, some people are doing that right now. An AI model similar to ChatGPT, but super rational. It'll probably be quite interesting, but also difficult. AI will help the billionaires to become richer as they don't need to pay more for labor costs. I think there's some truth to that, Daisy. Yeah, there's definitely some truth to that. But also, it enables very poor people, or not very poor people, but it enables poor people to do things that at the moment only rich people can do. So, for example, if you're very rich right now, then you could translate an entire book into English by paying someone, and you could pay someone to design a website, and you could pay someone to deliver something to your house. But in the future, a very poor person could use use an artificial intelligence to translate something, to write a website, or to deliver something to their house, and it'll be very cheap, very cheap. That's what's going to happen. These things will become very cheap. So actually, AI also has the power to offer accessible things to people who don't have a lot of money. AI doesn't suffer from road rage. I think that's an interesting point. Right, let's move on. So, what I wanted to actually discuss a little bit is something called logical fallacies. But we're actually not really going to do that because my preparation for today got kind of limited due to other things. So we're not really going to talk about logical fallacies. So I think we'll save that for another stream in the future when we'll talk about logical fallacies. What we will have a look at, though, is something called Socratic dialogue or Socratic questioning. Does anyone in chat know what Socratic questioning is? What's the idea of Socratic questioning? This is another way of developing your critical thinking, which is the topic of today's students. The thing is, Julia, there's no reason why AI should be a replacement for you. You can adapt. You just need a bit of critical thinking, right? I use ChatGPT all the time, and it's so useful. It helps me be like, I would say, about maybe 15 times faster. And no, let me take that back. 15 times more effective, and probably about 3 or 4 times faster at a lot of things. Maria del Carmen says hello, and she says Socrates is about dialectic. Daisy says it's about philosophy. No other ideas about specifically the Socratic dialogue or Socratic questioning. Socratic means relating to Socrates. Socrates was a philosopher, very famous philosopher. Socrates was the teacher of Plato. So we had Socrates was the teacher of Plato. Plato is the teacher of Aristotle. But focusing on Socrates, Socratic dialogue. So the idea of a Socratic questioning or Socratic dialogue is that you ask questions to get to the bottom of a belief. So if someone said democracy is the best form of government, then what we're going to do is we're going to ask and ask and ask and ask questions about this to find out more information. Where does this come from? Right? So why do you think it's the best form of government? Because bum, 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 bum. Why do you think democracy does that? And how does it do it? And what could be better about that, or what could be worse? So it's basically just questioning as a form of evaluation. It's asking these WH questions. So let's have a look at an example dialogue involving Socratic questioning. So we've got here someone who says, I believe the ultimate goal in life is to be happy. Does anyone agree with that in the chat? Does anyone think that the ultimate goal in life is to be happy? Nipa says, I'm going to hit my laptop. I have the worst internet today. Everyone's saying they've got bad internet, and I'm starting to worry that it's me again. It's not my internet again, is it? How about your cold, Rich? Did I have a cold? What is happiness, says Zoya. Zoya is already doing the task. So the task is to employ the Socratic method here, which is asking questions about this. So I believe the ultimate goal in life is to be happy. So what could we, if we want to do some Socratic questioning, what could we say? Why do you believe that? What is happiness? And if we can, and I would like to remove, yes, the next part of the dialogue. So, in fact, we have exactly that. What do you mean by happy and how would you define it? So, a very common technique in Socratic questioning is defining terms. We want to know, how do people define stuff? So let's have a look at Alex's answer. He says it's a feeling of contentment where you don't want or need anything else. Does anyone in chat disagree with that definition of happiness? A feeling of contentment where you don't want or need anything else. Do you know what? I really like that definition of happiness, but I think that a lot of people consider happiness to be more like joy or pleasure. Whereas I really like that definition. Alex's definition of happiness, I think, is pretty good. What can we follow up with now with some more Socratic questioning? Manuel says happiness is feeling like a child. For some people, happiness is having a house looking at the sea. I see. How do you define happy? Yes, that's right, Ashley. That's basically what we're saying here. A feeling of contentment where you don't want or need anything else. Let's have a look at Sam's next question. So Sam goes on and says, is it possible for someone to have everything they want and still not feel content? Ooh. Is it possible for someone to have everything they want and still not feel content? So we're kind of breaking it down here, where Alex has said that you don't want or need anything, and that's contentment. But Sam is saying, well, can you feel contentment? Could you possibly not feel content even if you have everything? Alex and says, well, there's wealthy people who seem to have everything, but they're still unhappy. So do we still consider that happiness is related to having things? If happiness isn't just about having things, what really brings about contentment? What is it that creates contentment? What is contentment? So contentment is a feeling that everything is just fine. The way things are right now, that's just, everything's fine about that. There's no problem with the way that everything is right now. Do you need a lot of things to feel like that? Hanawat says happiness for introverts is to avoid any parties. Alex says that a lot of rich people commit suicide. Interesting. An alcoholic can say that. Ooh, I missed that, Zoya. What are you talking about? What can an alcoholic say? Interesting. Okay, and Alex says maybe it's about having a meaningful relationships and a purpose in life. And then Sam says, can someone have a purpose in life and a meaningful relationship, but still experience sadness or dissatisfaction. Once again, asking, well, are you sure it's about meaning and relationships? What if you have meaningful relationships, but you still feel dissatisfied? Do you know anyone with a successful marriage and a family who still sometimes feels dissatisfied, still doesn't feel content? Okay, and it goes on and on and on. And I'm just going to show you, a little bit of it. If you're watching the video, you can pause and have a look at the rest of the conversation. We're not going to continue talking about it. You get the idea. The purpose of this stream is to show you ways of improving your critical thinking. And I'm demonstrating that Socratic questioning, which is what we see here, is another way of doing that. So far we've looked at playing devil's advocate and Socratic questioning. And now we're going to move on once more. It's something that I personally like. Now, one of the things that might not work very well about this next thing is that these puzzles have a definite solution, and people who really like these puzzles probably already know what the solution is. So I would ask you, if you see a puzzle that you've already seen before, then don't give the answer away. So we could call these riddles or brain teasers. And I think these can be really good fun for your critical thinking. I love a good riddle, but a good riddle, not a rubbish one. So here comes a riddle. Are you ready? A riddle. A riddle is a puzzle that you have to solve with critical thinking. Sometimes they involve word tricks, which I don't think is the best example of a riddle. And hopefully I didn't choose any riddles today which involve word tricks. So here's our first riddle. There are 3 switches. One of them controls a light bulb inside the room. You can only enter the room one time. So you have 3 switches and a room. You can enter the room one time. How can you definitely know? How can you definitely find which switch controls the light? Any suggestions? If you have heard the riddle before, then please don't give the answer away. Manuel says, Rich, are you eating spicy foods? You're so energetic today. I'm drinking Coke Zero, Manuel. So let me explain again this idea. There's a room, and in the room there is one light bulb, and outside the room there are 3 switches. You can only go in the room one time. You need to find the switch which controls the light. Yeah, but Pilly, you don't know if the light is on. Is the light on or off? Manuel's being clever and saying use a remote control. Pallavi says, what do you think happiness is, teacher? Ooh, I think happiness is different things to different people. But really, I also think happiness is related to the idea of sort of being content with everything. Akami says, I think that's Schrodinger's question. No, it's not Schrodinger. Not Schrodinger. Oh, didn't realize that I sort of disappeared off my camera there. Sorry, I've kind of laid down a little bit. Oh, I'm getting very casual in today's stream, lying down on the sofa. So Sonia says, switch on all the switches. Okay, so Sonia, you do this, right? You have 3 switches and you go on, and then you enter the room and the light is on. Now you need to tell me which switch controls the light because you switched all of them. So how do you know which one controls the light? When you push 1, there are 2 left. Yes, you push 1 switch, Maria, and there's 2 left. How do you know which one controls the light? The middle one, okay. A remote control. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys the answer. Now, normally I wouldn't do this because I think the best thing to do is just keep thinking until you get it. But this will give you an idea of how this works, okay? Basically how to solve riddles. I highly recommend riddles, by the way. A good riddle is fantastic, so you should have some fun with riddles. Go on Google and type fun riddles. So here's the solution. You have the switches A, B, C. There's your 3 switches, right? This is what you do. Turn on switch A and wait for 15 minutes. Don't go in the room, just wait. Okay? So switch A on, wait 15 minutes. Then switch A off, switch B on, and enter the room immediately. If the light is off and cold, then it must be switch C. If the light is on, then it must be switch B. And if the light is off but warm, then it must be switch A. And that's the solution. And it might seem very clever, but if you think about the problem for long enough, you can find that solution. And that's a good example of using critical thinking, solving a riddle. So we are going to have a look at another riddle in a moment. I just want to see what comments we have. Sir, you're lying on the couch. Yes, I am. Nipa says, sorry, it's really confusing. Do I need to draw this? Maybe I need to draw a picture, Nipa. Shall I draw a picture? Let's draw a picture. I'm using a new program today in an attempt to, I don't know, try a new program, basically. Right, so let me draw a picture to help you. Here's the room. Here's the room. Okay. And here's the door. And in the room, there's a light bulb. Okay. And outside the room, you have 3 switches. Those switches are A, B, and C. And you need to find out which one of those switches can control the light bulb, but you can only enter the room 1 time. So you turn on A, wait 10 minutes, then turn it off. Turn on B, enter immediately, and then you have the answer. If the light is warm, then it's A. If it's on, then it's B. And if it's off and cold, then it's C. Are we ready for another riddle? It's easy to understand, difficult to come up with. What I could tell you, Zoya, is the more of these that you learn about, the better you become at solving them. Let's have a look at the next one. So with this one, we have two doors. One door leads to death, and one door leads to safety. So two doors. There's our two doors. One door is death. And one door is safety. Outside the door, there are a guard. There's a guard for each door. So you have the red door and the blue door. One guard always tells the truth, and the other guard always lies. You can ask one question to one guard, and then you must choose a door. You can ask one question to one guard, and then you must choose a door. Okay? So look at all the information you have here. There's two doors, and one door will kill you. There's one guard at each door. One guard always tells the truth, and one guard always lies. We don't know which guard tells the truth and which guard lies. You can ask one question, and then you must choose a door. So what's the question? Suggestions in the chat. Pallavi says, I'll go the death door. No, don't do that, Pallavi, please. Akami says the riddle required a bit of physics knowledge. Really, Akami? Have you never touched a light bulb? By the way, don't touch light bulbs. It's dangerous. I think pretty much everyone knows that light bulbs get hot. You don't really need physics knowledge. Nipa says, I choose blue. So you're going for 50-50. Pallavi says the question is why? Okay. You can ask the guard, will I die behind the door? Yeah, but Manuel, one of the guards lies, and you don't know which guard is which. So if you ask the liar, he will say no. And then what do? You don't know if it's the liar or not. I really like this riddle, by the way. There's a great answer to this one. I will smile and ask the guard, how many deaths have you sent to hell today? The safety guard will laugh at my joke. Let me think about this. How many deaths have you sent to hell today? So, yeah, well, yeah. I don't think they'll laugh, Daisy, but I think that the lying guard will say 0 and the truthful guard will say 0. So you have a problem. Oh, Pilly says, ask them which door would you go in? That's a good question, Pilly. And I think that would work, actually. Which door would you go in? I think that question actually solves the riddle. It's not the correct question, but I think it does solve because the demon lies. So he would choose the good door, but he'll tell you the bad door. So it doesn't work. It's close though. It's a good way of thinking. Maria says, ask who's the good one. No, it's no good. That's no good, Maria. Because if you say to them, are you the liar? Then the liar will lie and the truth person will tell the truth. So the truth person says no and the liar says no. Ask the God, am I human? But Nipa, that doesn't tell you about the door. So you ask, I'm a human. The truth person says yes. The liar says no. And then you've used your one question. So you no longer have the option to ask about the door. All right, I'm going to tell you guys. Yeah, I do think that Pilly was the closest, but it doesn't solve it. I want to give you a little bit longer because I feel like someone might get it. Is anyone close? I'll tell you that the answer involves kind of think with an extra layer. So don't just ask the guard about their opinion. Ask them something else. Not just about what they say. Hang on. Tell you the bad one, the good. What's Maria del Carmen saying? Let me see this. The good one. The bad one will tell you the bad one. The good one, the good better. Not quite sure what you mean, Maria. You might be onto the right idea there. Ashley Chen would say, do you want my money? So the liar will say, well, do they want your money though? That's the question. I don't know if they do want your money. Let's assume that the liar wants your money. Let's assume they both want your money. Then the truth person will say yes and the liar will say no. It doesn't really help you with the door. All right, I'm going to tell you. The question that you ask is, you say, what door would the other guard tell me to go through? And then you don't choose that door. So if you ask the good guard, what door would the other guard tell me to go through? Then the good guard will say, well, he will tell you to go through the red door because he's a liar and he wants to kill you. He'll kill you, right? So which door would the other guard tell me is the safe door, right? So the good guard will tell you that the bad guard will tell you, of course, this door, but that's wrong. And then if you ask that question to the liar, which door would the other guard tell me is the safe door? The liar will lie and therefore will also indicate the bad door because he'll lie about what the truthful guard is going to say. So that's how you do it. I'll just reveal that in case anyone didn't follow it. Oh no, I don't have it written. I have to type it. I'll type it for you so you guys can have a think about it. It's very clever and I really like it. So ask, what door would the other guard tell me is safe? And then you do not go through that door. So you ask whichever guard, doesn't matter which one, ask them, what door would the other guard tell me is safe? And then do not go through that door. Go through the other door. That's the answer. It's a great riddle. Really, really great riddle. Really good fun. Daisy said, can I ask, do you want to enter that door with me, handsome guard? Let me have a think about that. So you say that to the truth person. Well, the thing is, we don't really know whether the guards want to go through the door with you or not. It's not really in the question. Let's say that they both do. Then that means that the truthful person, if that's the good door, then the truthful person will say yes, but they'll say no if that's the bad door. And the liar, if the liar wants to go with you through the door, then they'll say no for both, because they'll lie about the safe door, and then I'm not sure. I don't think it works, Daisy, but it's interesting. All right, so there was another one here, but I'm not going to go through this one. If you want, you can have a think and post the comment down below if you know the answer to this. So 3 siblings are talking. That's brothers and sisters. The oldest says, I'm twice as old as the youngest. The middle one says, I'm 3 years older than the youngest. In 3 years, their combined age will be 66. How old is each sibling now? So if you know the answer to this riddle, or you work the answer out to this riddle, then you can post it down below. And I think we're going to wrap up our stream for today. So today has been a little bit abnormal. We've not had a stream like this before, ever, because I'm on holiday, and yeah, it's been a bit wild. But hey ho, we did our best. I think we kind of got there in the end as well, which is nice, isn't it? Yeah. So brilliant. Does anyone have any final questions before I wrap up today? I hope you're all having a good summer, by the way. We're well into it now, well into our summer holidays. I just saw a sale at a clothes shop today, and it said back to work sale. That's good, isn't it? That's what we want in the middle of our summer holidays. We want a sale that says, hey, everybody, you're going to go back to work soon. Brilliant. Just what everyone wants. Back to work sale. Right in the middle of summer. Still in the middle of summer, but hey, let's talk about going back to work. Wonderful. Peely says the answer is simpler than I thought. Nice. Nipa says, Rich, you shaved your beard. Okay, do you want to know why, Nipa? I'll tell you. So my fiance is Vietnamese, and Vietnamese people think if you have a beard, then you're 70 years old. So I had to shave my beard because our engagement celebration, for our engagement celebration, she doesn't want people to think that she's going to get married to a 70-year-old. So there you go. That's why I shaved my beard. All right. Okay, everybody. We are going to wrap up now. Thank you very much. Have a lovely week, and I'll catch you next time. Alrighty. Can I have some music? I don't know. This could go horribly wrong. I'm going to try this. Oh, it's just a black screen. Oh, wow. Look at that. I'm on my laptop, so, I don't have this all set up. But hey, we can still kind of have sort of outro. Maybe I'll just do it with the camera. Just do it with the camera on, and we'll see if this works. I'm just going to do a bit of a test. Test. Oh, yes. Okay. All right then. Right. All right, everybody. It's been my pleasure. My name's been ProfRich. Smash that like button. Oh. So clunky. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip. Catch you on the flippity flip. You ever heard that? Should we just keep going? Come back in, do another stream. Talk about the present perfect. Here's 15 uses of past simple which you didn't know. Have a lovely week, everybody. I don't know if I'll be streaming next Saturday. I'll try to do a stream next Saturday, but it's kind of a difficult time because it's very close to when I'm flying back to England. So, yeah, we'll see. Plus, this is a bit less professional than I'm comfortable with. I'm not saying something because I'm not exactly the most professional person in the world, although I do consider myself to be a consummate professional when it comes to education. When it comes to streaming, maybe not so much. Anyway, have a good one. Have a chat in our lovely Skype chat. Talk to our fantastic community.